Okay, so we are ready to do our first Java program, which in most programming languages you start with something called a Hello World program, which just prints the words Hello World to the screen. So I've opened up a new blank Java program in CodeHS, and I get my kind of standard Java template that we talked about in the first video. If you skip the first video because you think you already know how to use CodeHS, I'll really quickly review what I talked about in this video, which is in Java, pretty much everything you do is an object that is an instance of a class. So the stuff at the start of your Java program is telling your compiler, this is a Java program. It's public, which means it can be run by anyone on the program, and its name is my program. But my program is actually a class in Java. And then your actual code is a method. It's a public static method which doesn't return anything. And it's a method of the public class. That's what all this business means. Notice I can put some comments at the beginning of my code. In Java, comments start with a double slash. In Python, they started with an asterisk. Java's different. This is what a comment looks like in Java. Those of you who are new to programming, nobody should be so new to programming that they don't know what comments are, but I'll remind everybody that comments are words in the code that aren't for the computer. They are for the reader. They're for you and for anyone else who might read your code. Commenting code is really important. I comment my code when I'm coding for myself pretty well. When I'm coding for you guys, I program it. I comment my program ridiculously wordily because you are looking at this code after the fact sometimes, and you need to understand what I was trying to code. I'm going to move my light here. I feel like I'm causing unnecessary glare on my camera there. That didn't really help. I'm still working on the light setup and everything here. So I will actually record a separate video about comments and about what in this class your comments are telling me, which is that you understand every line of the code that you have written and you can explain to someone else what that code means. So this is my program. I'll put another little empty line in there. And this is what every program will look like. There's another way to write comments in Java, which is with the slash and then an asterisk. These are for multi-line comments. So a single line comment usually start with a double slash. In Java, if you have a comment that spans multiple lines, you can actually enclose it in a slash asterisk and then an asterisk slash at the end. So you can have a big block of comments without having to put the little comment thing at the beginning of every single line like we had to in Python. It's actually really nice feature of a lot of languages. You can also, you'll sometimes see, and I'll only mention this in passing, I won't often do this. You'll sometimes see the comments start with two asterisks, and that is called a documentation comment. And there are programs that will go through Java code and strip out all of these with the double asterisks and use them to basically create a manual that explains how all the methods work automatically. We're not writing code for someone else to make a manual for, so we don't have to worry about documentation comments. But it's good for you to know that they exist for any future Java coding you might want to do. So this is just a little block of code that I put in here explaining the commenting and explaining that your main program is actually a method in Java. So we want to make the computer print hello world. And the way we do that here in our main program is with the system out print line. That's a lot to type every time you want to print something to the console. And this is one of the things that you'll notice about the difference between Java and Python. It takes a lot more code to get something done in Java than it did in Python. And the reason, again, is that everything in Java is a class and object. The print line is a method of the system class, and so the way you call it when you're printing something, you're actually calling the print method of the system class. And so there's all of the system.out.println and then parentheses, and then the string that you want to print out in quotes. And if I come over here and click run, it takes a second for CodeHS. Oh great, an error. That's an instruction. I'm going to pretend I did that on purpose. When I run that code, I get an error. The error is error semicolon expected. Remember I said in the first video that Java is different from Python in that it requires you to tell it when you start a block of code. That's what these curly braces are. A curly brace tells Java, hey, this is the start of a block of code. Indenting that code is not enough. So the curly brackets is a way, they're actually called curly braces, or just braces. The technical terms is these are parentheses, the square ones are brackets, the curly ones are braces. Every block of code has to be contained in curly braces, but there's something else that languages like C and Java require you to do that Python did not, which is you need to tell it when you are at the end of a statement, when the statement is over. In Python, the statement is over when you hit return and go to a new line. That is not the case in Java, and it's not the case in C or C++. The way you tell Java and C and C++ that you are at the end of a statement is with the semicolon. So the end of every statement, every line of code in C and Java has got a semicolon at the end. You will forget to type the semicolon a lot. I will still forget to type the semicolon a lot. I copied and pasted this system out print line statement from something else, and I forgot to extend my copy all the way to the semicolon. So there is our hello world. I can now give my Java program a string, and I indicate that it's a string if I enclose it in double quotes. I don't believe, unless Java has changed since the last time I coded in Java. Yeah, single quote won't do it. In Python, remember, we could enclose our strings in single quotes or double quotes. Notice I get all kinds of errors if I try to do that in Java. So Java requires your strings to be enclosed in double quotation marks. And there's our hello world over here in our console. And I keep trying to point with my cursor, and I forget that my cursor doesn't actually show up for you guys on the screen, so I have to remember to select things. So hello, this is my first Java program, is the string in my print statement. The print ln means print line. It prints a whole line. Okay, if I copy that and paste in, let's put in another piece of code. This is the second line of text. And fix that little capitalization and run that again. Notice that they should be on separate lines. Yes, they're on separate lines because the print line tells it to print a whole line of text. There are other ways to just print and stay on the same line. You might guess what that is. If you want to guess what that is it system.out print? Let's try. System.out print. This is the third line of text. And system.out print. This is still the third line of text. Let's run that. Okay, notice that when I use print line, it puts all that text on a single line. But if I use system.out_print, it does not go to the next line when I print the next line. Okay, so print line prints and then puts a carriage return at the end. Print just prints, and then the next line will start wherever that line stopped. Just like in Java, if we want to include just like in Python, if we want to include a manual line feed, we can use that /n right here, and notice that that goes to the next line of text automatically. So the command to tell Java to print is a lot wordier than the command to tell Python to print, but the functionality is basically the same. There's a command for printing a whole line, a command for printing and staying on the same line, and you can use the /n control characters too. Anytime you want to put a manual line feed, a manual return in there, you can do that. We're going to leave that as our hello world for output. And then we'll do a separate program looking at input and output. We'll learn how to read stuff in from the console. We'll learn how to print stuff out to the console. And that'll be the way we monitor our programs going on as we write code. So important stuff that we have learned here is single line comments, multi-line comments, how to use our curly braces to start and stop blocks of code, and then our semicolon, which is going to be our biggest friend and our greatest enemy when we're writing code in Java. That semicolon's got to go at the end of every statement. And this is one way that Java is different from Python. None of this indenting that I did here in this Java program matters at all. First of all, we know that the comments don't matter. I can take these comments out, right? There's my code without the comments. Okay. It runs, no errors. All of this indenting, Java doesn't actually care about. Python did care about. As long as the semicolons are in there, and as long as the curly braces are in there, I can put all of this on a single line of code. Java don't care about indents, doesn't care about spaces, doesn't care about any of that business. We care because it's really hard to read code when it's written like this. My little scroll arrows disappeared. There we go. So here's my code now, all just written on a single line with curly braces beginning and ending the blocks of code, and semicolons telling it every time there's a new state. Oh, I've got the thing off here. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to go back and edit this. In fact, maybe I'll just crop that out entirely. That sucks. Yeah, let me do that.